Final guest out, ladies and gentlemen. He is the one, the only. He needs no introduction from me, Mr. Stephen Fry.
A very big house in the country. Washing up liquid meats and the pretty big meats in the country. In the country. In the country.
Thank you, boys.
Marvellous. And may I say, what a spectacular walk-on.
Why, thank you. Years of practice. Do you know, well, this is obviously not going to go out in the show, but it's a strange thing about you, Jonathan. You know, when you started, you were a little young, well, barrow boy from wherever you come from. You had enormous charm, but you weren't a comedian. And I don't know, do we date it from, They Think It's All Over, when you took over from Lee Hurst? Suddenly, you explode in a riot of efflorescent verbiage of the most ghastly colour. And, I mean, it's wonderful and admirable, because you have a very quick mind in that sappy native Cockney way, and it's charming. But
I don't know whether this is nice or not. I'm going up and down. It's like a roller coaster. It seems to be nice.
No.
Then it's not. Then it's nice again.
Yes, but you have...
You're toying with me, Fry.
Yes, I am, yes. But you've reinvented yourself.
I've sort of had, but it wasn't deliberate.
Whether deliberate or not, it's ququite brilliant.
Well, God bless you. It's very kind of you to say so.
Happy to see an old man come back again. Good.
Stephen, you've just been in Cannes. I know this for a fact. An enjoyable experience for you?
It's extraordinary. I'm sure you've been many times to the Cannes Film Festival, and it is a remarkable Babylonian orgy. Quite We've never seen so many parties everywhere, and such desperation. And if there is one thing the French are quite manically suited to, it's to being security guards, bouncers. Every aspect of their rudeness, their logic, their cynicism, their, all those qualities that we so admire in our Gallic cousins. You assume that that a big East End bruiser is the expert at putting the palm in the face like that. But until you've seen a Frenchman do it, the contempt, I mean, it's just extraordinary. And you see people for whom all the waiters of the Ivy bow and scrape. You see them being kicked out like that. Do you remember that TV comic where the fans who used to get kicked out of cinemas when trying to get autographs? These senior producers. It's a very scavengy, mean place, but essentially it's a marketplace. As you know, people go there to sell films, and it's no different to a double glazing convention in Frankfurt. It really isn't. I mean, every year double glazing people go to Frankfurt and they talk about whether or not they can get the South American sales for their double glazing, and someone comes up with a new double glazing product, and you kind of latch or a new kind of gap between the two bits of glazing, and they sell it on, and they talk, and that's exactly what it is with the films. I mean, the only difference is obviously you don't get Leonardo DiCaprio and Cameron Diaz at the average.
Although if
Frankfurt.
you saw the film The Beach, he probably will be selling double glazing. So you're out in Cannes, and you're right, it is a marketplace essentially. People go there to buy and sell films, to try and hawk their new product. You have a film which finally, I guess, you're on the verge of making, is that right? Directing?
Yes, we're going to go into pre-production in a couple of weeks. It's an adaptation of Evelyn Waugh's second novel, Vile Bodies, which I've retitled Bright Young Things. It's an extraordinary, it's drugs and speed and parties and music and nightclubbing and celebrity and press. It's the first really modern novel of its kind. You could describe it to some extent, if you wanted to be cheap, and I think we do, as England's Great Gatsby. It is a great jazz age novel. But
and it was written when, about 28, 29?
28, right, spot on, yeah. And, but he set it in the future, rather strangely. But it is the novel that really describes this young, aimless generation who have nothing to, well, I say nothing to do. They're addicted to everything, addicted to parties, to nightclubs, to speed in every sense of the word, whether it's motor racing. The music actually is extraordinary. The music of the time, some of the fastest, UK two-step garage music, as I believe it's called.
You're directing this as well as adapting it?
I'm directing it, yeah.
Is it the first time you've adapted?
The first time I've directed it, yes. Yeah.
Well, so it's a big challenge.
It is. I mean, the directors, they're just, they're strange people. As an actor, you only really see directors, obviously, on a film set, which is a third of their life. A film is divided into roughly 3 parts. The pre-production, which can take 3 months. Which includes obviously casting and scouting, or wrecking, as we say, for locations, and all the planning that goes into the making of a film. Then there's what they call the principal photography, the bit where you're actually making it on the set and the actors are there. And then there's probably the longest period, which is the editing and dubbing, you know, the sound editing and so on.
But I can sense excitement in you about approaching this new task.
Very exciting.
And so I assume this is what keeps you going, because you have enough money not to have to work, I assume. Is that what, this is what I've heard. I don't know if it's true.
I have lavish tastes in Apple computers, amongst other things, and my prostitutes and so on. You know, it mounts up. I went to bed with a rugby player. I mean, I never guessed they were a hooker. Sorry. Something occurred to me, I'm sorry.
Whoa!
There we are.
It's nice, though.
No, yes.
Nice to see you coming down to my level.
Well, no, I myself, I mean, dear Gussie Deaton, I mean, he's a jolly good chap, and we all feel for him, obviously. I've been in trouble myself with the press and with the police and with various arms of the establishment, and if I had known what pleasure it gives other people, it might have made me feel happy about it, because every taxi driver for the last 3 or 4 days has just been beaming up. What about that Angus Deaton?
The thing about Angus is because he's so capable and he's so much in control on the show, I think people like to see the chances falling the grace, because of course it's, you know, it's a chink in the armour.
Yep,
That's all it is,
absolutely
really,
right.
you know, and
Right.
we actually do wish him well, because it is, you know, it's
gosh, yes.
most unfortunate, but there you go, he is a idiot.
The last word on the subject.
But we do wish him well, don't we?
We do wish him well.
We really do. Hey, you know the weird thing, well, one of the strange things I find about your career is, on the one hand, we know you as, you know, incredibly witty, insightful, informed, erudite, and, you know, hugely talented person, but also my children respond very well to you, not only in Blackadder, but they know you as the man who reads the Harry Potter books.
Right,
That's
yes.
what they know. They know you just as the Harry Potter man. And
Well,
often I'll be putting my children to bed, and I'll leave them and say, can we have a tape on at bedtime? And as I'll be walking downstairs, I'll hear you talking to them, which took a bit of getting used to. I noticed you do something that, see, when I'm reading to them at bedtime, there's always a bit where I start dozing off. How do you guard against that when you read? There's a bit where, and I'll start dozing off, and I don't know if you've done this, when you're reading a story to someone, you start dozing off, it's like the subconscious bubbles up. And obviously that's not something I want to inflict on anyone's children, especially mine. But at one stage I did catch myself talking about tax returns. And I was saying, Dad, what's that got to do with Harry Potter? And I was half asleep.
What actually happens is, you're wearing earphones, so if you fell asleep, you wake yourself up with a bang on the microphone as you hit it. But you start to, the things start to swim in front of you, and you... the most unlikely phrase becomes an absolute minefield. There was one, Harry put it in his pocket, which is a pretty easy thing to say. It's not a tongue twister.
Well, it made me laugh.
Yeah, but I couldn't say it. You know, I just went on. Oh, Harry put it in his pocket. Harry put it. But I kept doing an extra syllable somewhere. I can't quite remember where. Harry put it in his pocket. And in the end, we had to stop it and just go back at the end of the day.
I had to stop and get Alistair McGowan to do that line for you.
Yeah.
You know, I can't claim to know you particularly well. I get the feeling you're the sort of person who people don't get to know. Only a few get to know you very well. Only a few know you closely. And yet
Like an ovary, it's only the first sperm that can actually get through. The wall closes after that.
And I'm still banging my head against the protective outer shell. And yet you do seem to be very happy these days. I mean, you've always seemed fairly happy, but I get the feeling you seem more content and more at ease with yourself than ever before.
Yes, I confess it, I think, which is a very difficult thing to do if you're British, to say, yeah, I can't say the word, hap. It's very difficult, very embarrassing word to say. But no, I'm much more cheerful, much more the thing. Love has shown me the way, Jonathan.
So, because you have a partner now, is that right?
I have a partner, yes.
Well, congratulations, that's nice.
Very much. Stop it.
But you didn't have sex for like 16 years, did you?
15 and a half.
That first time, you must have had to put blankets down. Imagine. Did you call the fire brigade and warn them? Like there might be...
Have you ever had an overmastering desire to throw a green baize cloth over him? Like a parrot.
Like a parrot,
Yeah, just woof like that.
Time for bed.
Yeah, it's night time and then whoop, yeah.
You know, I can't actually help it.
It's wonderful, though.
I'm more to be pitied than scorned.
Yes.
Stephen, thank you very much for coming on. I deeply appreciate it, because you know I'm a fan of yours, and I think just about everyone is. And if they're not, they should be taken out and roundly thrashed. Stephen Fry, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Let me thank all of the guests on tonight's show. Martine McCutcheon, who's lovely, isn't she? Julian Clary, once again, wonderful Julian Clary, and Stephen Fry. But now I want you